During the month of December on the Redeemed Marriage Podcast, we're having a little bit of fun, and we're looking at some of our favorite Christmas movies, and we're diving into those Christmas movies, and we're trying to pull out some information that might be helpful in your marriage. So stay tuned to see which movie we'll be talking about this week. Hey, I'm Rusty.
And I'm Heather.
And we're the Bryants, and this is the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
We are here to encourage healthy marriages, strengthen wounded marriages, and begin the process of restoration to broken marriages.
We aren't licensed counselors, but we are a redeemed couple that loves the Lord and wants to help you journey through this messy, challenging, and fun part of life called marriage. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is the second week of a little mini-series that we started last week. Throughout the month of December, we are pulling some of our favorite Christmas movies, and we're trying to find those little nuggets of information from within those movies to share marriage advice or marriage lessons. And I listen to a podcast every day that they always say that this is T-Boy is what they call it, the best one yet. This one must be the best one yet before we've ever even started, because I think Satan has tried everything to disrupt this episode, but most of it was funny stuff.
That's right.
So I mean, and a lot of it had to do with the dog, and
yeah.
I hear our dog in the background barking, and
he
so
wants to be known.
Everybody might get to hear that too, but that's okay. We're gonna press on and press forward. So last week we talked about Christmas Vacation. We sort of gave lessons from the Griswolds. And we talked about unmet expectations. And today,
you know, this might be one that some people haven't seen.
I know it kind of doesn't get
it doesn't get too much attention, and it needs to.
Oh, it's
a hidden gem.
It is. What we got?
Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way.
Yes.
So I don't know if you saw this, but I did a little teaser this week.
I saw it.
Okay, on social media. And so I was looking up to just see who all the different actors and actresses were. And I knew most of this, but I was sort of blown away with some of it because obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger's in there, who is former Terminator, Mr. Universe, and also governor of California, which, I mean, all that's weird that he was all of that.
Yeah.
He's the main character, along with the comedian Sinbad,
yes,
who we love. Sinbad. I actually went and saw him live.
That was fun.
The wife, Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife, so the main character is Tom Hanks' wife in real life.
I didn't see that.
Yes.
Huh.
And then let's see, there were 2 Saturday Night Live. Belushi was on there, and also Phil Hartman, who has passed away since then. But this blew me. I don't think, I mean, I obviously knew this, but never have thought about it. The little boy?
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker. Yes.
No.
He's Anakin in Star Wars Episode 1. So I mean, that was the same age. They were little boy. I mean, he was the little boy then, little boy.
Yeah.
He looks just like, because it's the same guy. There you go. Anywho,
I didn't put that together.
So if you haven't seen Jingle All the Way, it's a family movie.
Yep.
It's hilarious. Very funny, it's a great movie.
So good.
So let's talk a little bit about how we can apply Jingle All the Way to our marriages.
Yeah. I was going to say it might be my favorite, but you can't get past the Griswolds. But it really, really is a good movie.
Yep.
So go see it. Okay, so what can we learn from Jingle All the Way? There's lots of things that we talked about that you could learn from it. But the 2 that we landed on was one of them being to be present.
Yep.
Be present in your marriage and be present with your family, which also helps with your marriage. And there's lots of good things in there about that.
Yeah, so a lot of the movie centers around the dad, who is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is not present, and that's where all the conflict in the marriage and with his child. They just have the one kid, but he is a businessman. He runs his own shoe company,
Right.
and you can tell he is a workaholic. He works all the time, and the movie actually starts off, I believe, with him missing missing his son's Christmas program.
No, karate.
Oh, karate. That's
Karate.
right.
He was
That's right.
getting
My
his
bad.
karate
My bad. He's
belt.
getting his karate belt,
And his secretary's like, you gotta go, you gotta go. And he's like, I'm gonna make it.
Yep. You sounded just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Good grief. I'll be back.
I think I sounded more like, hey, boo boo. that Yogi Bear.
Oh, goodness.
Sorry about I'm not real good at
No,
what are those called?
impersonations.
Yeah, I'm not good at those.
You're not. You're really not. You should hear her try to talk in other accents of foreign countries. They all sound like the same thing, but we're not going to go there. Okay, so back to the movie. So he keeps making promises to his little boy. Yeah, I'm going to be there, and then he lets him down.
Yeah.
And then the big thing and the whole theme of the movie is the little boy asked for one present, a Turbo Man. He wants the Turbo Man action figure, and he knows exactly what it does. It does this. And the wife at some point in the beginning of the movie says, "You did get that, right?" And he's
says,
oh yeah. And of course he didn't, and they are nowhere to be found. It's that hot item for Christmas. Everybody's
like Tickle Me Elmo when the boys were little.
Yes.
Remember that?
I do. It was
We
crazy.
couldn't-
And we're like, who wants this thing anyway? But anywho, you can actually get a Turbo Man now.
Really?
Yes, you can buy them at the store. But the whole point of that is that he was not present because work was the main thing, and he was just really checked out. So, let's just talk for a minute. Let's talk for just a minute about the work aspect and being too busy, I guess is the way you can say it. So we could give some advice, especially during the holiday season. My first bit of advice would be to learn how to say no. And a lot of times, whether it's work or whether it's a hobby or whether it's just, something that you are choosing to do rather than spending time with your spouse or with your family, we have a hard time saying no. And it's our marriage that gets sacrificed most of the time.
That's right. And, a lot of times when I think about what should we be saying no to, and that's different for everybody, like you can't just say no to this, and this. It's different. And so I try to think, what has God gifted me with that also I can use to bring God glory? And if I'm being asked to do those things, that's something that I want to invest my time in and my energy in. But there's so many things that we do just because that we don't have to do, especially during the Christmas season. And I get it. I mean, it gets busy. Like my best friend, she was saying the other day, I have a party Sunday night, a party Monday night, and a party Tuesday night, all for different things that takes her away from her family. And now those are things that she needs to be at. And she's made great plans of making sure, being purposeful, being there at other times. But those things come up before we know it, and they come up really fast. And if you're disappointing your family and not being there and being present, then it's something you need to look at.
Yeah, and I think it's important if you're choosing to do something instead of being with your family when you don't really have to do that thing. That's something that probably should cause a little bit of a check in your spirit, and you should reconsider.
Yeah, and not only that, I know that there are people listening that would probably rather go to an office party than they would want to spend time with their family.
Right.
Because it's easier.
And that's the problem.
Because, you have so many people get so much affirmation at work. They're the best at work. They have people that affirm them often at work. And then sometimes that's easier to be in that environment than it is to be at home, where things might be harder. You know, you're having to give kids baths and help out around the house, and it may not be a comfortable or a great environment for you, but that's because there's been so much time spent out of the home.
That's right.
That's
the whole point I was thinking about that, is because you've made that a problem.
That's right.
And if you turn it around and you spend more time at home and more time with your spouse or your kids or whatever season of life you're in, then you're going to find that then those office parties are not your first priority anymore.
That's right.
Because you're cultivating what you need to cultivate at home.
That's right.
The other thing, you know, I said the big point there was learn how to say no to some things. And the other thing is to learn how to say yes to some things. And really what I'm talking about there is say yes to things at home. So there's things that probably your spouse would like to do, you don't really care to do or wouldn't care to do, but it's spending time with your spouse. Yeah. And so you have to learn to say yes to that. Same with your children. I mean, good grief, we all know there's plenty of stuff that we would love to say no to when our children want to, but it's spending time. And I've got a great example about this. So last night, our youngest son, who's 15, so he's not young, he and I were wanting to watch a movie, and we've been wanting to watch a movie, and we finally found the time to do it last night. And it was one of those movies that you probably could take it or leave it. And you debated, you sat on the couch for a minute, and you said, I really don't know, should I go and finish Christmas wrapping? And also you can put on your Hallmark movies that you love. And you were debating, and we even told you, we said, it's fine, we're going to watch this, but you chose to be present. And so you sat and watched the movie, and I think you enjoyed it.
I did. It was good.
But we sat together, and we were just in the same room, sitting on the same couch, and we were just present with each other. Yeah. And so that's one of those things that sometimes you just have to say, you just say yes. You just say yes to something. Maybe it's not your first option, but the relationships that you're making and building, it helps. It just helps in the long run.
And your family feels chosen. And that's important.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a good one.
So we're saying, yeah, because I said something really good about you.
That was sweet.
Bonus points. So yes, you need to learn to say no and learn to say yes. And so that's the practical advice for the holiday season. When you have choices and opportunities to come up that could take you away from your family, just think, is this something that I have to do? Is it something that it would be much better if I was spending time? Is this going to hurt my family if I tell them that I can't be with them because I have to go to something that I really don't have to go to?
Right.
And I think that's the key. And look, we're not telling people to not have hobbies. And I mean, those are things, but just be realistic, talk with your spouse about it, and make sure that everybody's on the same page and there's no hard feelings, especially during the holidays. All right.
Number two.
Yeah, we got one other thing that we think you can really learn from Jingle All the Way. So his being not present with his family was causing a lot of conflict and friction. Obviously, his wife was mad a lot. And there just so happened to be a next-door neighbor that was the most eligible bachelor on the block. All the single women, and I guess even married women, were after him because he just seemed to have it all together. The Christmas decorations were perfect. Poor old Arnold Schwarzenegger just never could find time to do the Christmas decorations. He knew how to...
I was just going to say, he was there videoing at the karate tournament and even yelled for Arnold Schwarzenegger's son. You know, cheered him on.
Yep, and I think he made some comment about, oh, don't worry, I've got it on video, so you'll be able to watch it. He was just Mr. Perfect. And he knew how to cook, and He was the one that brought the live reindeer into the
and
neighborhood.
His son's Turbo Man was nestled nestled safely
under the tree. They'd had it for weeks or
Yes,
months or
months.
whatever. So just the perfect guy. And the danger, and this is the marriage advice, when you are looking at your spouse and you're pointing out and thinking of all the negatives, it's really easy to look at someone else and think how much better it could be. And you can get yourself into all kinds of trouble when you start playing the comparison game.
That's right. And his name was Ted.
Ted.
Stay away from the Teds.
Stay away from Ted.
Sorry
if your name is Ted.
And that's so true that it's so tempting. He even came in our house and said, "Oh, let me finish these cookies for you, while you do something else." And, Arnold Schwarzenegger calls and he's there.
Yeah.
And, she just was drawn towards the fact that he seemed to have it together. But what was fascinating to me is that when he had, when no one was watching, he wasn't that guy.
Right.
He had some explosive moments where he was, yelling and, not as sweet to his kid as it appeared to be.
Right.
And so I just think a lot of times we see someone and think, oh, if my husband was more like that, or if my wife was more like that, or I wonder, even as dangerous as to say, I wonder what it would be like to be married to someone like that. And then all of a sudden your spouse is falling short of a measuring stick that is unrealistic, because in reality, he wasn't that at all.
Right.
That's just what he showed people. And not only that, but he knew that he had that role and that the women were looking at him like that. And so his character very much played on that.
Yep.
He was divorced, and so he, was single. And he knew that, that there were women constantly saying, "Can you come fix my this?" And, "Oh, look, I fixed you a casserole," or whatever. And so he knew that role, and so he played into that, really well. And there are people out there, that do that. But then there's also people who are just trying to live their best life that that you might notice and see that they do things differently or better, or what you think is better than maybe your spouse. And then it's, like I said, you're comparing them against something that's not real.
Yeah. And I think that this day and age with social media, it just amplifies it so much more, because anybody can sit and look and scroll through, the perfect pictures, the perfect family, the perfect gift that was given to a spouse. And, it's just natural to start thinking, gosh, well, why isn't my spouse like that? And to start comparing. And, and in some realities, that may be true. Like that your spouse may be falling short in a lot of areas, but that still does not give anyone the right or the freedom to go and fantasize or look at other places to try to meet needs that might not being met. You work on cultivating your relationship with your spouse and improve that, rather than, it's the whole water your own garden.
That's right.
Water your own garden and watch it grow.
Yeah.
But so many people are more concerned about somebody else's garden. And, I'll even back up for a second, because I didn't mention this when we said that about, we were talking about social media. That would be another, when Jingle All the Way was made, there were no cell phones.
Yeah.
I think it was in the 90s.
They had to stop at the payphone.
They stopped at
payphones.
And yeah, that's right. And so there were landlines and stuff. There were no cell phones. But, man, today, let's be real. You can be with your family and not be with your family.
That's so true.
And so I would encourage you, especially during this holiday season, really make it an effort when you're with your family, put those cell phones away and engage, and make sure you're looking them in the eyes, and look your spouse in the eyes, and, look at your kids, and don't always, when you're sitting at the dinner table and you're just constantly looking at your phone or whatever. Just we need to be present. That's the gift. The gift of being not the gift. It's a different movie.
No, sorry.
This is last week's movie. It is the gift that keeps on giving, but it's the gift of being present.
Yep.
Gift and present. How about that?
See what you did there.
See what I did there? How neat is that? So, anything else from Jingle All the Way that you can think of?
There was I don't think there's anything else marriage-wise that we can pull out of that movie.
Are you're thinking of something not marriage-wise?
No, I'm just saying it's a funny movie.
Oh, okay.
And there are things that I could tell that are so good. And
so I just have to tell. I know this is a little bit. This is kind of funny.
Oh gosh.
One little story. So you mentioned that he was at the house, that Ted, the next door neighbor, was at the house one time and had said, "Here, let me take care of the cookies or whatever." And so she went. I think she actually went to take a shower. And so when Arnold Schwarzenegger called home, he answered, and he was cooking in the kitchen. And he said, "Put my wife on the phone." And he said, "Oh, she's taking a shower." And
and he even
what
said,
a mess.
"She's taking a shower. You want me to go get her?"
Yeah, that's right. But the funny one was when it was the reindeer, right? That they named Ted.
Yeah.
So he brings the live reindeer to the neighborhood for the kids and names him Ted, names him after himself. But the wife had gone outside to see the reindeer. Arnold Schwarzenegger calls, and the little boy answers the phone, and he says, "Where's your mom?" And he says, "Oh, she's outside petting Ted." I'm sorry.
That
was a little bit crude, I guess.
Yeah, but it was
a little funny.
It was really
Really
it's
funny.
family friendly. It really is.
It is.
Your kids won't get that.
But we had to throw that in because that was one of the funny lines of the movie. But hey,
and we also get one of our. Sorry, you were trying to end it, but we also get one of our sayings that we say all the time. These cookies.
Oh, these cookies. Man,
because Ted likes the cookies and rubs it into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hey, we could do this all day.
We could. We'll stop now.
Yeah. I was going to say, we'll be here all week, but we won't. This is actually the end of this episode, so we will be here all week. You just listen to it over and over again.
Right.
No, I don't even want to apologize for us having a little bit of fun. That's what this is all about. Marriage is supposed to be fun, and so we have a lot of fun doing this, but at the same time, I really do hope that the little bits of messages and advice and tidbits of lessons that we've learned from movies, I do hope that they're helpful. And I hope that you will learn to have lots of joy. Joy was our Advent for this week. And so I hope that as this season continues, the Christmas season, that you'll learn to have more joy in your family and that you'll spend more time being present with your family this holiday season.
And they could go rent this movie.
Perfect.
And, put your phones down, cuddle up on the couch, and watch a fun Christmas movie with your family.
So here's a great thing that you could do for us. If you would go and rent this movie, or rent it. You're not going to go anywhere.
Go to
we don't have Blockbusters anymore. Pull it up on your own Apple TV or whatever you use and rent this movie at home sometime this week or this next weekend. And then tell us, that would be awesome. Shoot us a message or make a comment in one of our posts this week and say, we took your advice, we spent some time together as a family, and even if it's just you and your spouse, y'all will love it together.
Still love it. It
so
doesn't have to be kids.
Check out the movie, Jingle All the Way, and then tell us how much you enjoyed it and how much you enjoyed being together as a family. So we're all in this together. We're going to be doing that this week as well. We're going to find times to be together, and so I hope that you will too. We want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll be back next week with another movie and some great marriage advice from a movie, Christmas movie. Till then, Merry Christmas.
Bye.